The Nephilim are a mysterious group mentioned in Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. The Bible describes them as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. In a historical literal interpretation, the sons of God are best understood as fallen angels who left their proper estate to engage in forbidden relationships with human women, resulting in a hybrid offspring, giants or mighty men known as the Nephilim. This is not merely a myth or legend, but a historical event recorded in Scripture, which was a key reason for God's judgment on the earth through the flood. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 2, the sons of God are clearly distinct from the daughters of men, indicating that these sons of God were not human beings. Throughout Scripture, the term sons of God often refers to angelic beings. Job chapter 1, verse 6, Job chapter 2, verse 1. The term is never used for human men in this context. These angelic beings who rebelled against God entered the physical realm and took human women as wives, leading to the birth of the Nephilim, who were a threat to God's plan for humanity. The fact that the Nephilim were wiped out in the flood seems to suggest that they were indeed a significant part of the wickedness that filled the earth, prompting God's judgment. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. The flood was not merely a response to human sin, but also to the corruption brought by this intermingling of fallen angels and humans, which distorted the creation order that God had established. After the flood, one might assume that the Nephilim were completely eradicated. However, there is compelling evidence that they reappeared after the flood. In Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, when the spies entered the land of Canaan, they reported seeing the descendants of Anak, who were described as giants and linked to the Nephilim. This raises an important question. How did the Nephilim return after the flood? The Bible does not give a direct explanation, but the fact remains that the Israelites encountered these beings again. Their presence in the land of Canaan, where they are associated with names such as the Anakim and Rephaim, suggests that this demonic activity continued beyond the flood. The Bible also refers to the Rephaim, another group of giants, in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 11, and 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16. The Rephaim were another tribe of giants, suggesting that the corruption introduced before the flood by the fallen angels persisted in some form. The appearance of these giants after the flood points to the possibility that the same or similar fallen angelic beings engaged in further corrupt acts with humanity after Noah's day. Now, we must turn our attention to the present day. Are the Nephilim still around today? The Bible does not explicitly mention them in the New Testament in the same terms, but there is ample evidence to suggest that demonic activity, fallen angels, and potentially even the genetic legacy of the Nephilim persist. Jesus, in Matthew chapter 24, verse 37, made an important statement when he said, "But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be." This comparison to the days of Noah indicates that the same kinds of evils, corruptions, and perhaps even the presence of the Nephilim would resurface before his return. One key point is that fallen angels and demons are not the same. Fallen angels, as indicated in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, and Jude chapter 1, verse 6, are bound in chains in darkness awaiting judgment. These fallen angels, including those who cohabited with human women, are distinct from demons. Demons are disembodied spirits, likely from the Nephilim, who perished in the flood. Unlike fallen angels, demons seek embodiment, as evidenced in the Gospels when Jesus cast out demons, and they begged him to send them into a herd of swine. Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 through 32. Fallen angels are capable of taking physical form, as seen in Genesis chapter 19, when two angels visited Sodom and were mistaken for men by the inhabitants. These angels can manipulate the physical realm, while demons are restricted to a more limited form of activity. The Nephilim, being part fallen angel and part human, are likely the disembodied spirits behind demon activity today. The destruction of their physical forms in the flood led to their disembodiment, and their desire for embodiment continues to this day, as they seek to influence and control human beings. Further evidence that the influence of the Nephilim remains today comes from the rapid advancements in technology, transhumanism, and genetic manipulation. In the same way that fallen angels corrupted humanity before the flood, There is an ongoing attempt by spiritual forces to corrupt the image of God in mankind. Modern efforts to tamper with human DNA, merging man and machine, and creating hybrid life forms echo the pre-flood corruption. Satan and his fallen angels have always sought to destroy God's creation, and this corruption is reaching its climax in the last days. There is also the continued fascination with giants and supernatural beings in various cultures and archaeological findings. From the massive structures in places like Baalbek, Lebanon, to the giant skeletons reportedly found around the world, there are signs that the Nephilim's influence is not merely relegated to ancient times. These beings, who were described as men of renown in Genesis chapter 6 verse 4, left a legacy that persists in the myths, legends, and histories of numerous civilizations. While many dismiss these as mere fables, the Bible affirms the reality of such beings. In addition, the spiritual influence of the Nephilim extends into the occult, where certain practices and rituals are believed to summon demonic entities or even the spirits of the Nephilim. Occultism, witchcraft, and satanic rituals open doors to these demonic forces, allowing them to continue their influence in the world today. Satan's agenda has always been to corrupt and deceive mankind, and the demonic spirits that once inhabited the Nephilim are part of this end-times deception. As we look to the future, the rise of the Antichrist and his kingdom may also be connected to this Nephilim influence. Revelation chapter 13 verses 1 through 3 describes the beast, whose power comes directly from Satan. There is reason to believe that the Antichrist's rule will be empowered by demonic forces, possibly even involving the resurgence of Nephilim-like beings. The Antichrist will deceive many through signs and wonders, and demonic influence will play a major role in his control over the world. The Nephilim were a real, historical group of hybrid beings, born from the union of fallen angels and human women. Their presence on earth was one of the main reasons for God's judgment through the flood. However, their influence did not end with the flood. The Bible and history suggest that giants continued to exist after the flood, with tribes like the Anakim and Rephaim. Today, their spiritual legacy remains in the form of demonic activity, which seeks to corrupt humanity, just as it did in the days of Noah. The distinction between fallen angels and demons is critical in understanding the spiritual battle we face. Fallen angels can take physical form, while demons, disembodied spirits from the Nephilim, seek to influence humans. As the days grow darker and we approach the return of Christ, the same forces that corrupted humanity before the flood are once again at work. The rise of the Antichrist, the spread of occultism, and the tampering with human genetics all point to the return of the days of Noah, just as Jesus prophesied.